Hi, everyone. It is Selena Gavin, your host. Welcome back to the WorkEND. I'm so excited. I've been well rested, nice vacation, and I'm ready to go. Again, I am an African American female. I am wearing red glasses today. I have curly blonde hair, and I am in my office at work, sitting in front of a fake brick blue and white wall. And I really just want to get right into it today. So today we will be talking to LeRon Barton. And I really just want LeRon to introduce himself and all his accolades. And I just really think this is going to be a really good podcast today. So LeRon.
Thank you for the great intro, Selena. Good morning, AJ. My name is LeRon Barton. For those who see me, I'm a Black man in America, ADOS, American Descendant of Slavery. I'm a writer, author, speaker, originally from Kansas City, Missouri. I write and talk about race, mass incarceration, politics, being Black in tech, and the power of storytelling, all from the lens of Black man in America. I'm also a speaker. I'm a 4-time TEDx speaker. I've given talks at Bitly, McAfee, University of San Francisco, University of California, San Francisco, Oxford, UK, among other places. I'm a TEDx coach, and just more importantly, Selena, I'm just a student of the world. I'm
LeRon, can you explain?
Learning and yes, ma'am.
Could you explain what a 4-time TEDx speaker is to our audience? Because I must admit, AJ had.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm sorry. I believe you froze up, Selena, but
I did. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's totally fine. So what that means when I say that I'm a 4-time TEDx speaker means that I've given 4 TEDx talks. My first talk was in 2018, How I Overcame the Fear of My Stutter. And for those who will be listening to me, you'll notice that I do have a stutter. I've been stuttering since the age of 5 or 6, one of those ages. And my second TEDx was The Power of Storytelling. That was in 2020. The following month in 2020, I also did another TEDx. It's called the Importance of Documenting the Moment. I don't recommend doing 2 TEDx's back to back. My client Scott Mason did that. I'm just like, ugh. And last month I did my 4th TEDx at Farmington Correction Center. It's a state prison in Missouri. So that was a pretty special moment.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a 4-time TEDx speaker.
Awesome. Let's talk about that last TEDx speech in
Yes, ma'am.
In a prison system. I myself have worked as a drug and alcohol therapist inside of a prison and also in a halfway house. And what was your speech about? Like, You were speaking to the inmates?
Yes, ma'am. So I was invited. So the story went is that was speaking with a TEDx organizer, Delia Cohen. She works with a lot of folks on the inside, and we were talking, and so she showed the men the talk I did for the Oxford Student Union about why tech should help those who've been incarcerated find jobs. And the men enjoyed my talk, so they wanted me to come in. And so the talk is not out yet, but Selena, the talk is essentially about how I, as a Black man, have been able to avoid prison, but at the same time, I talk about growing up and how I have a responsibility to give back and to not only educate the young boys and girls who are on the outside, who come from them places that I come from, but also help the brothers and sisters that are released. Because one of the things that I like to tell people, Selena, is that I didn't do anything special. To be honest with you, I'm just lucky. If we look at the statistics, 1 out of 4 Black men will experience some type of incarceration. So to quote Yvette Carnell, when you have those type of numbers, it's not an individual choice, but it's more of a systemic issue. I don't subscribe to what my father would call rugged individualism. I am no different than any man that is locked up. I just so happen to not get snared, and I did a lot of things growing up and in my early adult life that I could have, or could still be in prison. But to quote, forget the gentleman's name, but he goes, "There go I, if not for the grace of God." So I understand this. So knowing that I did not get tripped up and ensnared in the prison system, because that's the thing about when you're Black. I always say to Selena, the specter of incarceration is always near. It's not something that you or I we can shrug off, because it's like right here, right?
Exactly.
Like we may be we may be kind of ducking and dodging, wiggling, but one wrong step and we're back in.
Yeah.
So I just know that I'm lucky, and that I have to do things to help others also avoid prison.
So how do you think like neurodivergence fits into the issues and the problems we have with incarceration?
Well, I think that with the United States, it's a very punitive system. It's all about penalizing, right? And so many people that are locked up, Selena, could be neurodivergent. Many people have undiagnosed mental issues. Mental health, unfortunately, in America is not supported the way that it should. It's not looked at as a priority. So because people have mental issues that have not been addressed, some people may go to drugs. 80 to 83% of all people locked up in America are due to some type of drug crime, whether it be possession, whether it be, committing a crime to get drugs, to sell drugs, to support themselves. Drugs are the main factor. And neurodivergent people, it's not so. This is a concept that has not yet truly been embraced by the populace, right?
Right.
So this is something that people think, oh, there ain't nothing wrong with you. You need to shake it off. You need to act right. But when we don't address this and look at this as an important issue, then people may fall victim to the criminal justice system and be just as impacted.
One thing that you said is I work with kids at a community center, and they range from kindergarten all the way up into 18. And speaking in regard to my Black boys,
Sure.
You having a stutter, I have students that have stutters and different neurodivergent issues, and they have been made to hide who they truly are because of retaliation from individuals who are right here with them. So it's not cool to be smart. It's not cool.
Not at all.
Right. It's not cool to listen to the teacher or the instructor. It's really cool to be the complete opposite. So I have so many of them on that path, on that very path to become incarcerated. And I don't know if anybody knows, but when you become incarcerated in the state of PA, it's extremely difficult to get out. They have constructed the system to keep you in, not to get you out. So how do I, as an African American woman, address these issues with my students, with these young boys, because this is our future, and I don't want them. I want them to end up like you, as not, you know what I mean, but not
Yeah,
have.
no, 100%. Right. So first off, like I think kids look, I think kids want to learn, right? I dismiss this idea of, kids don't like school, black kids don't like school.
Mhm.
One of the major problems we have, Selena, is that what we're taught, right? So if I'm so white supremacy is everywhere, right?
Correct.
It's in the air we breathe. A, a friend of mine told me, white supremacy isn't the fish, it's the water, right? So if you grow
I
up
like
and
that.
if you thank you. It's my homegirl, can't forget her name. I can't remember her name at the time, but my homegirl Sabrina.
Okay.
Definitely want to give credit. When you grow up and you're only reading about a specific type of people, right?
Hmm.
The only time that they reference black folks is that when we're in chains. And I'm not trying to diminish that, because I think slavery is an incredibly important part of our story. The beginning of the podcast, I said that I was ADOS, American Descendant of Slavery. I want to push that line. But if all that you're learning is about that, and you may learn about Martin Luther King, Rosa
The
Parks,
usuals. Right.
exactly, like Jackie
Hmm.
Robinson, Michael Jordan, and you're not learning about things that are culturally significant to you. You're not learning about things that have an application for today. You're not going to want to pay attention, because what today's school system is telling you, Selena, is that you don't matter. Your people are insignificant. Your people are just essentially a small part of the American story, let alone the international story. So I think that the way, and again, like, I don't want to criticize teachers, because I think teachers have a very, very, very just
Difficult.
tough job.
They do.
But I think that there needs to be a cultural bent that is going to attract kids. I'll give you an example. And prior to the pandemic, I taught creative writing at the San Francisco County Jail, right? I mean, I don't brag about anything, but I brag about that, because to me, it was one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. And I remember when I first started teaching the men, and it was all primarily, say, Black, Latino, and Filipino men in there. There were a few white guys, but not that many. And I remember trying to reach the men, and at first it was kind of rocky, until I spoke with a colleague of mine, and she said, sometimes you have to meet people where they are.
Where they are.
And I think that when I started doing that, the classes became much better. And so I think that the old lesson plans, I think I know they're antiquated, and they just don't fit to what kids are today. So we have to meet kids where especially we're living in a world now where, like, it's not white dominated anymore. You dig? I mean, finally we're seeing people that look like us, that are more prominently featured, but just, we're learning about Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was 16, changed my life, but Malcolm is a staple now. Do you understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
I
Stokely
definitely
Carmichael,
understand.
he's a staple now. Bobby Seale, Huey P. Newton of the Black Panther Party, they are staples. Angela Davis is a staple. So we have to teach people more than just this old ass lesson plan. excuse my language, but like kids want to learn. Like we just got to just like switch it up, you know.
Thank you. That the whole thing of neurodivergence is that we do learn differently. In Black communities,
Absolutely.
I know
100%. No,
okay.
like one thing that I want to touch on, when you talked about neurodivergence, learn differently. All right, so I believe that I have ADHD, right?
Mhm.
I also, from my self diagnosis, I'm a bit of a dyslexic, right?
Okay.
So, and I got a stutter, so I'm just like all the way out, right? I mean, just
No, honestly,
being honest,
you would have been completely counted out. That you know what I mean? Like there would have been barriers put on you, and it was just accepted that you would not be able to achieve.
that is correct.
Mhm.
So when we think about those things, instructors and teachers, and again, this is not criticizing teachers, because it's a very valuable job, but there can't be a one size fits all. Like just
Thank you.
being dyslexic alone. You're welcome, Celine. Like being dyslexic alone, I mean, it's tough, right? And I didn't come to that realization till like later in life. So just imagine having a kid that's like ADHD, you know what I mean? Can't really sit still, always moving a leg. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there has to be a better solution besides putting them on Ritalin and lithium. You dig?
Yes.
Let's not go the pharmaceutical route first. How about we switch it up?
Right. Try some behavior therapy and
Absolutely.
try some. The one thing, I used to work at a charter school for 17 years, and our whole goal was to keep our students in class, not out,
Absolutely.
in that classroom, continuously learning and growing. So we didn't suspend. So we didn't do things that caused them to miss school. We wanted them there. And a lot of people looked at that as if we were enabling their behaviors.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak about that a little bit?
No, like it's so goofy, right? So in you talked about preparing kids for prison, right? So
Mhm.
the school to prison pipeline is a real thing. It exists. And one of the ways to start a kid off doing that is to penalize them, suspend them. Coming up, Selena, so I never got suspended, right? That's one of the that's one of
You're
the
amazing because
that's
I
one of
got
the feathers
suspended
in
all
my
the
cap,
time.
right? Yeah, like,
That's awesome because I got suspended.
well, I mean, see, like, you was coming up in PA, so they probably just yo, you know what I mean?
It's
I mean,
expected, right?
yeah, I mean, Southside Kansas City's tough, but I mean, like PA, y'all got that extra, like,
Don't we
but
though? It's beautiful, isn't it?
hey, listen, shout out to everybody from Philly. I love y'all to pieces because it's like, man, Philly cats will definitely, yeah, y'all will let folks know. But like,
Definitely.
so when so in my school, if you got suspended X amount of times, you were what's called you were a victim of expulsion, right? So
Mhm.
that means that you were just done for the school year. So if a kid can't get a high school diploma, I mean, most jobs they require bachelor's degrees, right? But like if you
Right.
can't get a high school diploma, then what are you going to do? Well, you got to support yourself, right? So you're going to hit the streets. You're going to try to do what you
Yep.
got to do to get where you got to get. But also the other side of that, Selena, is that mentally tells a child that you are defective, that there's something wrong with you, that you cannot act right in a school. You are not wanted anywhere. So there is the mental aspect of it, and there's also the criminal aspect of it. I mean, we are essentially criminalizing these kids and telling them that they are not worth anything at an early age. You know, studies show that Black kids are suspended at a much higher rate than white children.
Yes.
So this starts the prison to school pipeline. If you have a poor attendance record, if you if you have a poor attendance record, you're gonna have a poor academic record, right? And if you have a poor academic record, Selena, you're not gonna be able to get into college. And if you can't get into college, you're gonna try to work a job that requires a high school diploma. Well, unfortunately, in 2024 in the United States, factories and jobs like that are being exported overseas. They're no longer here. They're not like my grandfather's generation, or even parts of my mother's generation, where you can support yourself just graduating from high school. So with all these things being restricted from you, you're gonna have to try to survive. And unfortunately, you could become what they call a sidewalk executive. You could you can go into the streets, and that's a one-way ticket to the penitentiary or to the graveyard. So, and if you're in the penitentiary, as you said before, Selena, with in PA, once you're in that system, it's hard to get out. I've been on probation a couple of times, right? Okay. And let me tell you something. I always say this: it's like an albatross around your neck, because it's like I cannot tell you, like, I've never walked a tightrope before, but that was almost like walking a tightrope. You have to be so careful how you move and wiggle out here, like, because again, you're Black, so the specter of incarceration is right there. Like, it's all the time. The system is designed like this. And if you're neurodivergent, if you have these issues, unfortunately, our schools are not equipped to handle kids with
ostracizes you even more.
110%. You talk about you talk about ostracizing, right? When I was coming up in school having a stutter, there were times that I avoided to talk because I knew that kids would make fun of me. Like, kids can be cruel. Like, oh man, like, I got Jesus. Like, we can laugh about it now because of what I've done and where I am. But to talk to the 12 or 13-year-old LeRon who's getting teased because he can't even say his name, like, that's
right.
It could be tough.
Exactly. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted, our policy was to keep them in, because like you said, what'd you call them? Street executives?
Sidewalk executives.
Okay, sidewalk executives. Like no, I like it because if we kicked them out, we were putting them in the very environment that we wanted them out of. So
absolutely.
Like, the sidewalk executive, that's absolutely perfect. I mean, what else is a African-American child or a minority child going to do when they're not in the school system Monday through Friday? What do you expect them to do?
Right, exactly. I mean, there's so much temptation. When you are a young kid, obviously your mind is not fully developed. And if you're not it's very hard. See, people don't understand this, Selena. It's very hard to get out of poverty. It's very hard to pull yourself out of situations that you're born in. Yep. And even if you do miraculously do that, you're still connected. Like, that's the thing about being Black in America is you're always maybe twice removed from somebody going through it, or as my mom would say, being on that end. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like, yo, like, you know, we could live in a nice place, have a nice car. You're still like maybe one or two people removed from the opposite situation. So it's, I mean, it's just hard. We have to just keep people in our prayers, and just also recognize that neurodivergent folks learn differently. Like,
And the
we're just
importance
different.
of PCEs. I wanted to put that in there because we have the adverse childhood experiences, and I want 100% the PCEs.
Yes.
Like, that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? If I can't take my kids out of their community to show them that there's anything different, okay, or I can't bring things into their community to show them that there's something different, what do I expect them to end up as?
You mentioned ACEs, and I want to give a shout out to one of my best friends, Andrea Frost. She's an educator in San Diego. Right before I did a talk, this was like the night before I did a talk for South Carolina PTA. She told me about ACEs, and it was, of course, I learned about the amazing Nadine Burke Harris, who ACEs. I tell people this, right? And this is real talk. All the questions that I had, why I was who I am, everything that I went through, ACEs answered everything. Yes. It is one of the most important theories I've ever come across. And you just told me about PCEs, right? That hand in hand, right? So, if you don't, like, it's hard to be what you don't see, right?
Exactly.
Would you agree with that?
Definitely.
Like, if all you see, and this is not a Black thing, this isn't a white thing, this is everywhere.
It's a society thing. Yeah, it's just.
I mean, like, the UFC middleweight champion Leon Edwards said, once you see a different way of life, you see a different vision of life, right? So that means that by taking kids out and having them see different things, if taking like when I did my my first TEDx, Selena, and it's about stuttering, and I get so many messages from young kids, specifically a lot of young cats coming up who deal with stuttering,
right?
And they say, "Man, seeing you up there stutter, have a stutter, give a TEDx, makes me believe that I can do that." And exactly. So PCEs are just monumentally important. If they're just it's more than just giving them a PlayStation or an iPad, but it's actually showing them possibilities.
Right. It's not a television show or. Continue. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying, like, especially someone who is neurodivergent. That means that we're not broken, right? We just think a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
God bless the dead. Bill Walton, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, he had a stutter, right? He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Just so James Earl Jones has a stutter. Forget the actress's name. Emily Blunt, she has a stutter. Like, These are great big people. So if I can show a kid that I can get on stage, give a talk about stuttering, I think I stuttered maybe once in there, but if I can show people that it could be done, then that's mad important,
Exactly. I consider myself one of those people, being here and providing those PCEs for the children, because I know that we constantly, even in I guess I look at it from a socioeconomic status. When you said, it's not a Black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not a Latino thing. To me, it's a poverty thing. And
100%.
yes, showing here's the problems that I have. I'm at a community center that is centrally located, of course, in an impoverished area, which is the same impoverished area that I grew up in. So here I am. I know
Right.
you can make it out. I know it's not easy, but I know you can. What are some of the tools that you kind of like grasped onto? What are some of the things that you saw as a young man coming up
Sure.
that motivated you? Because what I'm going to do, if you tell me these things, I'm going to reenact them for mine. I want to know, like, what did you
Yes,
see?
ma'am. No. So, I'm a believer in God, but outside of that, so I had a mother who would tell me to not stop talking, right? So again, when you have a stutter, you're constantly worried about if you will stutter when you talk, right? So I had a mom, she would work with me. She would say, okay, slow down, think about what you're going to say before you say it. I had a great mentor, and my teacher, Stan Banks. He was a writer.
Okay.
He was published. He was and still is the man. He's a professor at a university in Kansas City, and so he showed me that it was possible. I just think that you have to remain curious. Listen, I got caught up in the drugs. I've been to jail more than once. So we're all gonna have our stumbles. But my mother told me the best thing she ever told me, Selena, is that self-doubt has no place in your mind, right? And so also you are just also I think one of the things that needs to be impressed upon kids that come from them areas that you or I come from is that you are just as good as they are,
Yes.
right? And so I
You're
think
not
that
damaged. You're not
no,
wrong. You're not,
you're not damaged, you're not wrong.
right.
Well, whenever I speak with kids, I always tell them you're just as good as they are, right? You're like, you don't, you're not dumb. You're not stupid. You're just as good as they are. Remain curious. Always learn. And
Didn't
just
you
to be
say in
honest,
your podcast, you said that everybody has that ability, but what were you saying? Like, but everybody doesn't have the same.
right? Yes, ma'am. So there's a great University of Phoenix commercial where the narrator says everyone has the same abilities, but not everyone has the same resources.
Yes.
And so that is the challenge, right? The fact of the matter is that in the United States, there's no such thing as meritocracy. It just doesn't exist, right? It's for the most part, white folks fail up, right? I mean, that's just the fact.
They do.
Just keep it all the way live. That's
That's
just the
so
fact of the
true.
matter.
They fail up. I like
And
that.
because if you look at it, many of the universities, the many of the university admittance, their legacy admittance. And for those who don't know what a legacy admittance is, that means that if your grandmother, if your father, if your great grandfather went to the college, you're going to have an easier time gaining acceptance than someone just fresh off the street. So to the young kids out there, and it's hard for me to say, hey, you know what? Stay away from that. But when you don't have adequate food, when you're not sleeping well, when you don't have protections, how you gonna tell me to do something when I ain't got that.
Exactly.
So I understand, just to tell them, to let them know that this too shall pass. This is all temporary. I grew up poor. I know what it's like to hell, Selena. We were so poor, our water got cut off.
Oh,
Just
been there.
imagine that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Been there.
like my mom, she's selling food stamps. That's a part of the game a lot of people don't know about,
And
because
that's a norm for
everybody
us.
got,
Where we
yeah,
come from, that's a norm. Hey, you get in where you fit
right, yeah,
in, you make it work.
exactly. You make it work, but just understand that you have to be focused on a goal. Like, it's gonna be tough now, but it's not gonna be tougher. Look, Maya Angelou said it best. It it can't rain all the time, right? It's not
Exactly.
gonna rain. It's not gonna rain all the time. There will be sunshine. So just stay the course. I think that mentorship is imperative. I've been a mentor. I've had mentors. So if you are, especially for Black men, I think we need to be mentors, especially neurodivergent Black men.
Yes.
I talk, I talk to kids and young folks that have stutter every so often. Give them some tips on what I've done and what I do. But it's very important for us to show kids like PCEs and to be
Yeah.
mentors. That I mean that'll go a long way. That's helped me. I stand before you. I am living proof of that.
So am I. So am I. That is absolutely what we need. The problem that I have with the mentors here that I have at the community center is that they don't look like us. The mentors don't look like us.
Right.
So as soon as they come in, my kids are already dismissing them immediately because you don't look like me. So then I'm trying to go out and find the mentors that look like me. It's difficult, LeRon.
It is. It is. A lot of us don't see the value in being a mentor,
Right.
and some of us have children. Some of us have our own families. So I mean, that's a larger discussion. But if you can be a mentor, and people think, oh, I'm supposed to do all this wild stuff. No, it's just dedicating a couple hours a month. Like,
Exactly.
you spend a couple hours a month playing ball. Like,
Oh my
you like
gosh.
going, like going to the bar, and like it's or just hanging out. Like,
Let me
that
tell you
time, I
this.
mean,
I have my kids from the time they get out of school till 7 p.m. And from
right.
7 to 9, the adult males, they come in to play ball. So I said to them, could you come in a little earlier? Could you just come in a little earlier? Because you guys are the mentors that I want my kids to see. Could you just dedicate a little bit of that time, to showing them? Come play ball with them. Come. To me, it's like, if I can teach a kid something, I'll find any kind of way. So if we're playing ball and I
Absolutely.
can teach you something, if we're talking about who got beat up last night or who went to jail or
Right.
whatever, I'm going to take that opportunity to teach you something, to teach you that it doesn't have to be that way.
100%.
I'm like choking necks to get these guys in here.
So unfortunately in America, and I can't speak for any other community but ours, right? But
Right.
but in our community, some of us, not all of us, Selena, but some of us embody this. I got mine, you got to get yours, right? My father told me a long time ago. I'll never forget
Amen.
this, Selena. He said, LeRon, beware of rugged individualism. And what that means for anyone that's never heard that term is, I was able to do it. How come you can't? Well, not everyone starts at the same point.
Exactly.
This whole thing of like, and it's funny, like I was talking with a client of mine before this call, and we talked about this isolationist thought that Americans have, and it's pretty prevalent in the Black community, unfortunately, because many successful folks feel like, well, I worked hard, I was able to get out. How come you can't? But
right,
that's the thing about racism, white supremacy, is it makes you think you're special, and it turns you on your own people, right? Definitely. So, I mean, this is why, like, I always say I am not special, right? I am just lucky, because I'm not saying it's just to be facetious, but just the stats bear this out. So if I can be a mentor, I will. There is value in mentorship. It just is, man. I mean, like, don't you want to see your peoples get better? Don't you want to be people duck responsibility. People duck wanting to, you know what it is, Selena, some of it, and I'm gonna keep it funky. Some of it is people duck accountability, because when you're a mentor, you got to be held accountable. So you have to impart wisdom and good things, because if you don't, well, the finished product is gonna be the child. And I just think that if you are a neurodivergent person, if you have ADHD, and if you tell somebody, hey, look at me, I was able to do this, these are the steps, let me take your hand, gosh, like, people will continue to pay it forward. Like, but you have to see yourself more than who you are. Like I always say this, and I'll close it with this, Selena. Like, I am not an individual, I'm a part of a community. And so you have to look at yourself like that. Don't get walled off. Don't think you are special. There's been plenty of times, especially in our community, Selena, where we've seen people that who they thought that they were special, they got that blank wake up call.
Oh yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
So I mean, that it's a phone call away. I mean, like, so.
And I love what you said, like, and we can end it on this. I feel responsible. I'm responsible to my community to show them that you don't have to go with the status quo, that you don't have to end up in prison. You don't have to be a thug. You don't have to misbehave. These are choices. And I want you to embody the right choice. And then I want people to show you that it's okay to make that choice and not condemn you because you did. So that's my biggest thing. Do you have any last comments, LeRon? I know you have to go.
I would just say this, like, be patient with people who are neurodivergent. We're trying. We're out here just trying to function, trying to survive, show empathy, be empathetic, and just know that, there's a saying that I love, and I'm just full of quotes, but everyone's fighting a battle, right? You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, everyone's dealing with something.
Yes.
So yeah, like, so like
society
go ahead. Yeah, like, we're all dealing with something, right? And it's like society's like, just constantly. I mean, so yeah. So that's all that I have to say.
Thank you so much, LeRon. I do want to talk to you again. So I will definitely have to tell AJ that
100%.
I would like to do another
Got you.
podcast because you have, I didn't even hit a lot of the things, but the things that we did hit were awesome. I love all your quotes. And and I'm actually going to
Thank
show
you.
this podcast to my students because I just need for them to see
Listen, like,
um,
yo,
an African American male who struggled and may still be struggling, but hasn't succumbed to the struggle.
listen, like, if you, we can even set up like a Zoom thing when I can just like talk to kids. Or like, I'm
Ooh,
always like up. I'm always like up to do that. Yo, so you got my email, so
yes.
hit me up, and we can definitely make that happen. Celine, one more question.
Okay.
What part of PA?
I am in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay, all right. So is that near Pittsburgh, Philly? Is
I
that near?
I'm about 2.5 hours away from Pittsburgh, about an hour
Okay,
and a half from Cleveland, and about an hour and a
okay,
half from
okay,
Buffalo. Yeah.
okay. Nice, right on. Yeah, Erie. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, again, I'm 100% down to help out. Please let me know, and
Okay.
yeah, we'll go. We'll go from there.
Thank you so much, LeRon. It was a joy speaking with you, and thank you for being on the WorkEND podcast.
You as well, ma'am. Selena, take care. Thank you so much, AJ. Y'all take care.
Bye bye. Well, that ends our podcast. And I thought that discussion was amazing. Okay. And of course, I will be back again. Uh, and I'll be back again with LeRon. I'm going to make sure of that because he has so much to offer and I want to put it out there. So thank you again for joining the Work End. I'm Selena G.
Thanks for listening to The WorkEnd, a neurodiversity podcast, a monthly live panel discussion coming to you every second Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Central. If you or someone you know would like to be a panelist, be sure to let us know by filling out our Share Your Experience form at umbrellaus.org/take-action. If you're catching this live on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel for updates on this and other Umbrella US events. And finally, if you'd like to support the podcast, be sure to leave a rating and review and share with your friends. To donate to Umbrella US and learn all the latest from us, visit us at umbrellaus.org and follow on your favorite social media platform.